So today I'm going to talk about projection, and it's a term or a concept that was invented probably by Sigmund Freud, and then later was used by Carl Jung and some of the other psychoanalysts. And it's one of the many things that these folks brought to us to increase our awareness of ourselves. So we're grateful in that way. Projections, when we take part of ourselves, something about ourselves, an issue or quality, an unresolved issue in ourselves, and we project it onto another person. Like we're projecting onto the movie screen. We're taking something of ourselves and we're projecting it, but we're not, and then we see it in the other person, and it might annoy us or whatever else. And we're unconscious that it's actually that issue or that thing in myself that I'm seeing in the other person that's actually what's annoying me. We can get judgmental or critical or whatever else. It's like, oh, this person's driving me crazy. That's a sign that there may be projection involved. And I want to kind of break it down into two types of projection. And the first is when we take someone from our past, say it could be a parent, a mother, a father, a sibling, or an ex that we were in an ex-husband, an ex-wife, an ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, or just an ex of whatever variety. And then we project it onto someone that we're either in a relationship now or that we're working with. So it's taking unresolved issues is what it has to be for projection. This type of projection, we've got if I have unresolved issues with my father, okay, and then this guy comes along and it might just do a subtle mannerism or something, and it just is like, it triggers me, and then I project the things of my father that I still haven't accepted onto this person. Okay, that's the first type of projection. And you see this, like you see it in some gender stuff too, where it's like, all men are jerks. It's just like, well, what is that saying? Is, well, this person maybe dated men that were, or maybe her father was a jerk, or his father was a jerk, and maybe dated men that were jerks, and then they meet a new guy, or they're interacting with a new guy, and they'll say, well, it's just like a man, or the. And the same thing, of course, goes the other way. It's like, that's just how women are. Or they're always making a big deal out of things, and they're always nitpicking, or they're always, whatever. That's almost never about the woman that's in front of me. That's about a woman from my past. And it's obviously not very fair to project that onto the woman in front of me, or the man in front of you, or whatever else. So the first benefit you get with this type of projection is it brings clarity and respect and to your current relationships. Because it's not very nice. it's not very respectful, you could say, to project something onto someone that has nothing to do with them. That's the thing about projection. It has nothing to do with them. And yet we project it onto them and treat them as if they were this person from our past. Okay? And so that's the first type of projection. The second type of projection is even more subtle in a way, I think. It's when there's a quality of ourself that we see in another. Okay? And I'll share a personal example of this is lately I've been noticing in myself that there's a bit of an arrogance. So like if I see people, it's like, that person is so arrogant. And then it's just like, oh, maybe there's some arrogance in me. Now that doesn't mean I'm an arrogant person. It doesn't mean I'm a narcissist or whatever. It just means that as human beings, we can do some things that are a little arrogant. And if we accept it, we can be more free. We can be more aware. And so my form of arrogance is like I had to do everything myself. I had to be the guy that did it. And it's if I don't take care of it, it's not going to get done. And so I would be doing spirits work. I would be doing other people's work, and it just is like, and then to just allow things to be as they are was terrifying, because it's like, if I don't do it, nothing's going to happen. Well, that's pretty arrogant to think that the world needs me to keep it rolling. I mean, that's pretty arrogant. And so then I see someone else that's being arrogant, and it's just like, oh, that person's really arrogant. Well, it's really that part of me. So why use projection? The first is, we talked about, like the first type, we can be more clear in our present relationships. That's certainly a big thing. You can be closer in your present relationship. And then with the second type, it's an opportunity to become more self-aware. Okay, when I became aware of my arrogance, okay, then my arrogant, that type, that at the very least, that aspect of my arrogance began to fall away. Okay, so I actually became less arrogant, and more gracious, and more, humble's not quite the right word, but anyway. And so it's a real opportunity. It's not fun. It's like, in my tradition, we sometimes call this coyote medicine. It's like seeing things about ourselves that we don't want to see. The coyote helps us see, in my tradition, the coyote helps us to see the things we don't want to look at in ourselves. And like that, arrogance might have been like that. I wasn't like, oh boy, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to look at my arrogance. No, it wasn't like that. It's just like, that couldn't be me. It's almost like, oh, the horror. Was I that way? It's very humbling, is maybe the word I was looking for earlier. So there's actually, when something is annoying us in someone else, or we find ourselves judging someone or being critical of someone, which is human. It doesn't mean you're a judgmental person. If we see ourselves like just really being annoyed or judging another person, or not being okay with the way someone is, okay, that is often like an opportunity to look at some projection. Like, what about that? What in me am I seeing in that person that's kind of triggering me and annoying me? And then we can, just like I talked about in the last video, it's a bringing it back home. It's like we our mind likes to make everything about outside of us. I'm a victim, I'm getting this, they treated me wrong, they're annoying, they suck, they should be more aware. It's like the mind loves to just externalize everything, and so here's the opportunity to bring it back. It's like, so if that person that's annoying me is just being themselves, they may be annoying, but if they're just being themselves, it's like, why does that bother me so much? Why am I just saying, oh yeah, that's John, he's being annoying, and just go on my way? No, I'm like, damn it, why does he always have to be like this and this and this? So if it has some juice and it has this kind of charge and this energy behind it, that is a huge indicator that there may be some projection involved, and that there's a huge opportunity to learn something about ourselves. It may not feel like that, but if we just bring that back home and just saying, so, okay, what about John am I not okay with? Okay, it's the fact that he does this and this and this and this. And then it's like, is there any way that I do that? And maybe it's in a different way than John does it, but like, how might I be doing that? And then we're allowing ourselves to become aware of something that was in, another Jungian term that was that was in our shadow, that we were unconscious of. And we're bringing that, like I'm bringing that arrogance, which was in my shadow, I'm bringing it into the light, and I can see it. And then once I see it, its power over me diminishes and it starts falling away. Just the very awareness of it and accepting it's like, oh yeah, I'm like that. I resemble that remark. That's me. I can be a little that way. Even just doing that, and I'm embracing it and accepting that that's true, that is empowering, and that starts the process of it, allowing it to naturally fall away. So anyway, that is my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying your summer and that you have an awesome week. And just maybe notice a little bit when something's annoying you and you might be projecting of either of the two types onto another person, and then see the opportunity of what you can learn about yourselves or learn about your current relationship. So thanks so much, and I will see you in a week.